Like, look at Atom right now, right? Cosmos is not really doing a whole lot better. Cardano isn't really doing, they're not going to make new highs, right? But they're still around, right? And I think these meme coins, like Dog with Hat, next cycle may not make new highs, but it'll probably still be around holding some value, and there'll be a new one that'll make new highs. So like I think that idea in memes is still, I think holds. All right, happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the Red Candle Club.
Well,
just a quick disclaimer. This is just educational and informational and entertainment advice. This is not financial advice. And just please take care out there. It's a risky market. So that's all on that front. So, all right. So here we are. It's Sunday, May 19th.
Beautiful Sunday. How's everything going, man?
It's been good. I've been loving the nice weather. I just love May, to be honest. I think May and June are like the best months to be in where we are in New York City. Like I think they're just the best months of the year before it gets brutally hot out.
Yeah,
so
been good. Starting to get outside, emerge from the indoors a bit more, and we the Red Candle Club crew got together last week. That was pretty good. Hanging out at the car club place.
The car club, right? Yeah, it's kind of becoming our new haunt now.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like other people there that are like degens that we need to talk with. It was like some Bitcoin millionaires there secretly.
Might be. Maybe the owner is. Who knows? I feel like it's good for us. It's good for us to manifest. You got to manifest the Lambos, right? We gotta go to the car club, see the Lambos, and manifest it in reality.
That's something I'm trying to do more. That word is it's great. I'm trying to do it more. But we got a lot of stuff to cover. It's been a lot of craziness as usual, and we're gonna rip through it and see how far we get.
Yep.
I think probably makes sense to just start with what's the overall landscape looking like price wise. How are things like? How's the health of everything looking right now?
Yeah. No, I mean, my view on it is actually things are up a little bit since our last episode. It's been looking a little more positive. And, we could go into that, in a little bit with like the macro stuff and why we think that is. But just like the coins I've been looking at, like Tau is kind of the same level. I got into NMT pretty recently. So it's like another decentralized AI compute token. I saw that it did a nice triple bottom over the last few months. So I got into that and I'm up already. So I'm hoping that I'm right on this one finally, because I've gotten wrecked on some coins lately.
Triple bottom is a typical behavior on that. It's like it rebounds from the bottom.
Well, so what I've been noticing, like from my years of trading, is that the number 3 is pretty important. So like, you hear the term double top, triple top, stuff like that. And then you hear about like supports and resistances, right? Like typically if, you have these retests where like something will go down, it'll hit a bottom and then rebound. And then if it's still not done, selling off, it'll go back down and retest that support, and it won't, and if it doesn't fall back down again, it rebounds again. And then if it's still not done selling off, there's a third test. And if the third test holds for the support and it doesn't fall through, it usually means that probabilities are more likely that the selling is over and that the sellers are exhausted at that point. So that's pretty much my bet, is that support is going to hold and the sellers are out and there's only buyers left now at this point. That's, again, it's probabilities. I could be completely wrong, and then there's a 4th retest and it just completely falls through and then it just goes lower, right? Get that, but again, trading is all about probabilities and there's no certainties. There's never 100% probability that something's going to happen either way. So really, you're trying to bet in your favor ultimately, and that's all I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like the astrology of crypto land. It's like something that we all believe in, and there is like some truth to it, honestly. And it's like there is like some math behind it in some ways, but it is also kind of like very magical land sometimes. But I do
Yeah,
think it's like a good kind of like lets you know directionally what to expect next.
for sure. I mean, charting is one of those things that people think is a big meme, and I sometimes it can be, but I ultimately feel like if it's been around this long, it's working for someone. It is working for people. It's just that you have to be. It's just one tool of many that you use. Charting is, if you're trading, it's kind of an art form in that charting is just one of the tools you use. And then there's macro indicators. There's you have to look at liquidity. Like there's so many things you have to look at, and trading a chart is just one of those things. So you can't solely use charting. If you do that, you're probably going to get wrecked. People who trade oil know that, because oil is like mostly political, right? It's all controlled by OPEC, etc. So like there's political things you have to look at too, like that affects prices. So charting's not going to tell you those things, but charting does help me, in the sense that I believe that it's all in the chart as far as where people are betting, and all the world's information is in there. So that's kind of what I think. It's not going to predict hacks. It's not going to predict things that are totally black swans and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're trusting charting for that, you're going to end up in a bad time. But I think it's worth studying for anyone who's trying to time the market. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am seeing things start to rebound a little bit. Maybe the prices aren't necessarily anywhere near the peak, but they're approaching it. And I think what was interesting as well, I was doing just some I was trying to compare Coinbase and like Robinhood crypto to just DEX volumes. And when I was looking at DEX volumes, I mean, so on the Coinbase and Robinhood front, if you actually go through the different reports, you do see volumes rebounding quite aggressively, and that is reflected in
Nice.
the DEX volumes as well. So we're getting back to, we're what are we here? We're at levels that we haven't hit since
Summer 2021. It looks like summer 2021 levels.
Or summer 2020.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the way up, summer 2021. And so, yeah, I guess that's interesting to see, is like usually I was kind of just thinking like things are dead right now, and, just kind of like hold on and wait and see what's going on. But there's actually a very like aggressive rebound happening right this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It really seems like October 2023 was where things turned in a big way for the crypto market. It just seems like the trend really shifted fall last year.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So,
yep,
we'll be monitoring that.
Yeah, but it seems like things are just kind of consolidating right now. It's still pretty calm, right? I mean, prices are, Bitcoin jumped up a little bit. It's leveling off here now, and it's kind of sideways a little bit still. So,
yeah. And yeah, I don't know if you want to cover some of the meme news this week. So in the TradFi world, we've had the return of RoaringKitty, and I need to watch Dumb Money still. I'm still like I was around for all of that activity. I wasn't like on the ground floor of it though. Like I wasn't like in Wall Street Bets honoring everything. I did see GameStop like mooning and everything, and then I know that he kind of disappeared for a little while, but he's back.
Yeah, probably spending all his money that he made for a couple of years. Just kind of. I imagine like he made like almost $50 million on that trade. So
really,
So yeah, I think this is a pretty big deal just in general of the sentiment. People do see him as like a leader in meme stock frenzies, and I think meme coins are going to follow as well. I think especially now that those same participants are going to, they're probably the same participants that are playing meme coins as well. So
didn't he hint at something? Or was there some video he posted? Did he post a video of the Walter White and like Skylar arguing about like what he's doing, but it was like memes when she's like, "What are you?"
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, he was very active on Twitter this past week. I mean, he was posting video after video. I don't know if he like hired someone to do it. He probably did, but it was like he went from like nothing for years to all of a sudden 1 week just like posting every day multiple times. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So he is the OG. Like he came up with the short squeeze strategy, and like he was one who posted it.
Yeah. So I could tell the story really quick. So I was following this. So this was back in 2020 now. So he jumped on Wall Street Bets on Reddit around probably like spring of 2020, like right around when the world was just like fucked, right? And like everything was shut down, right? They printed tons of money, and he came into Wall Street Bets and posted this, very long position on GameStop, right? And he would do this every single day. He would post his positions on GameStop and his options expirations, and how much money he had. And he was just getting flamed every day. Like people were calling him a retard, like an idiot, like you're going to lose all your money, you're just people just railing on him, right? And then 6 months went by and the stock was moving up, and he was starting to make a lot of money on these options, but he still wasn't selling. So people, I think, Wall Street Bets started to change their opinion of him, and people started getting in on this trade with him. And then he made more money, and he would still post his positions every single day on Wall Street Bets. So around early 2021, that's when the stock really started taking off, and like a lot of shorts got wiped out. And that's when it was really starting to go up, and he was making millions every day. And Wall Street Bets kind of like looked up to him as a god at that point, because for a year he was on this trade and just posting every single day and just taking so much shit for it. And now he's like the god there. So, when he whatever he says commands a lot of people now, a lot of people's attention and opinions, and that's where this is all coming from, is from Wall Street Bets and following that GameStop trade for a year, and just the reputation he has on that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So yeah. So there was one comment on the Reddit post, because I saw this on Sunday when I got back, and the first comment was Lisan Al Gaib, which I thought was hilarious, because that is how people see him on Reddit now. Like anything he posts, like people are going to buy it. He has more influence than like Ansem or any of these crypto Twitter guys. He's got a lot of pull. So it's funny.
Well, let's hope he trudges along into crypto. I think if he can, I feel like it's kind of lame to be buying GameStop now, in my opinion, because it's like you're still stuck on like the TradFi rails, and it's still like they're able to halt and manipulate relatively easily there. I mean, not that they can't do that in crypto too, but I feel like you're kind of playing in the world of traditional finance with the GME stuff. And, I guess they did some damage there, but.
Yeah. Well, I also think he's got a lot of eyes on him too now. So he's probably just going to post like stupid videos and stuff and just stay active on Twitter. And that'll probably be enough to keep people investing in meme coins. But I don't think that he's going to come out with like positions or anything, just because he's going to be invited back to the Senate again if he does that. So I just think he's just going to keep playing this game of like posting on Twitter and riling everybody up. It's probably the best thing for him.
Right.
But interesting nonetheless. We had an article from Cobie that dropped today, actually, this morning. I haven't read it yet. But it seems to be kind of like a discussion about like, market cap and low float, high FTV tokens that we've been seeing lately in the market. So, go ahead, and if you guys don't know about Cobie, he's also like a very influential player in crypto. He's like another godlike trader. People follow him. So if you're on Substack and you like to read, which a lot of people in crypto don't like to read, but whatever, just throw it into a GPT or whatever and it'll summarize it. But it seems like a good read, and I think it's worth just like sitting down and reading it.
Yeah. I've been seeing some discussion here a little bit on the feeds recently regarding how the landscape is probably going to be changing, or it's unsustainable to like keep ripping out new L1s and then having a huge proportion of the tokens contained privately, and then like sex launches versus dex launches. So I think I will need to read this full article. It's pretty beefy, but definitely. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's just a discussion of like how much money there is chasing this stuff now, and just how the market's like reacting to that, like how it's changing essentially. But I mean, it's good discussion because I've been noticing that too, and I don't know how it works and what it means really. So to have someone that is smarter explain it, I think is helpful for all of us.
A lot of good charts in here.
Yeah, we love charts. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep. Let's see. So some airdrops. The Drift airdrop happened. So, but if anyone's been using Drift on Solana, that was one that I've been following. But I haven't really been following any others. I don't know if there's any other like big airdrops that have happened, but it's the only one I know.
Did we talk about them a couple episodes ago?
I think I did a few months back. I talked about Drift briefly, but I'm not a heavy user of Drift. I just made a couple trades on there. But if anyone out there is like a heavy Drift trader, just know that you probably have tokens waiting for you.
Cool. Okay, so that just dropped like hot off the press this week.
Yeah, this week, and then it's active until August 24th. So you have the summer to go get it. It's actually a pretty short claim period, relative to some other ones. Like I think Jito left theirs open for like a year and a half or something. So
that's cool. We definitely did talk about this. So that's cool.
You want to do the MakerDAO one really quick? So this one, this was kind of big. I thought I just learned about it this morning, but they're replacing the DAI token with two different tokens, which is going to be, one's going to be backed by real assets. So like if you think kind of like a USDC type deal where they're going to have like actual money behind the token. And then the other one seems like it's going to be more algorithmic. So they're essentially splitting up DAI. It seems like they realize like DAI doesn't really have much of a focus right now. It's just kind of like it's trying to do both, and it's not really doing a good job of that. And they're going to make two separate tokens. So yeah, interesting move.
Very nice. Yeah, I know this is like a very it's one of the most resilient protocols in crypto. It's been around many years. I don't actually know when they first started. Was it 2017 or? Yeah,
they were early. They were like they came around the scene when like Tether and USDC came around. So they were one of the first players. So yeah, they're seen as a leader, in the stablecoin world.
Yeah, I mean, usually things just kind of go belly up, and they don't have staying power, especially through multiple cycles. But this is one of those protocols that for sure has been holding up. So yeah, very cool. Cool to see that they're innovating here. Have to do a deeper dive on this new initiative they're doing here.
I don't hold DAI myself, but if you hold DAI, it's worth looking into this and seeing what will happen, because I think that there's like, if you hold DAI, it's going to get migrated into like one of their newer tokens. So you just want to be aware of what's going on there and keep track, so you know where your money is.
Right. Cool. Solana surpasses Ethereum by revenue. So let's see what's going on here. I know there's a lot of cherry picking of certain statistics, and people get in a huff over this on Twitter regarding, like, okay, if you cherry pick a few values, you can say that you've beaten another chain in a certain metric. But let's see what they say here. So Solana's total economic value, transaction fees combined with MEV revenue, surpassed that of Ethereum for the first time. So the chart shows Solana hosting nearly $2.25 million in 24-hour revenue, beating out Ethereum's by 1.98. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I think that's pretty significant for sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes to Solana. I think people need to just to give people a little bit of a view here. So Solana was, people knew it was going down. They were getting a lot of hatred for that. So they implemented a fee market to prevent against this. And that's where this is coming from. Is ultimately that when the chain's under heavy usage, people pay higher fees, right? it's still lower overall than other chains, but it's getting more expensive to transact on Solana now. It could, I've paid, close to $1 sometimes to do things on Solana, which is high for Solana relative to past. And it is actually kind of on par with Ethereum L2s now. So there is a good competition happening between the two chains, which ultimately is, good for us, I think. But yeah, that's where this is coming from, is ultimately Solana's growing in usage and they had to do fees. And this is very much a headline. Like they just looked at the 24-hour fee, right? And then like they made a headline based on that. But like, you extrapolate this out to like, what's it like in 3 months or 6 months? And, I don't know what those numbers would look like for each chain. But Ansem does have a point where, Ethereum is 5 times more expensive, 5 times more market cap than Solana. And, the fees are pretty much equal now. So bullish soul is what, the takeaway is.
I think what I will see a lot, I'm trying to find this website. It's like cryptofees.info. Yes. Okay. So this will kind of go through 1-day protocol fees. I don't see Solana on here. Yeah, I don't know why they don't include Solana.
Oh, this interesting.
Yeah, they have various interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is mostly EVM, but
Ethereum makes $2 billion a day in fees. That's crazy.
2 million. Yeah, it is wild.
Oh,
yeah.
2 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
2 billion
that's
wild. But I guess
yeah.
Like heads up. It's like, so that's, I guess,
Wow.
to reimburse all the validators that are operating. And Solana obviously has less validators, so there's basically if you think about the entities that are actually comprising all the Ethereum validators, it narrows it down into maybe a dozen different entities. So that's interesting. But
this is an interesting site. What's this site, Dan, that you're using?
Cryptofees.info.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, and they have like various other protocols as well, where they like compare issuance between different things, and L2 fees.info. They kind of estimate costs. I'm not sure like if this has been updated recently, but yeah, I think Ethereum is sort of becoming what it is like also comprised of its external components, the EVM. So you do have like Ethereum itself, which to be honest is basically unusable for the average person. But they are like, okay, go use our L2s. And there's many different L2s, and they all are, to be honest, like quite centralized in many different ways. And, you need a bridge around to these different L2s. They don't communicate to each other perfectly. They are cheaper to use. They're not super cheap, but they are a lot cheaper than Ethereum to use. But I think that's maybe in statistics, and we're looking at charts going forward, when people are comparing like Solana to Ethereum, if you compared Solana to the EVM, that might be like a more balanced kind of like community centric metric to talk about, because then it's like you're comparing to like where the average people are, and they're on the L2s, and people are don't need to go to an L2 if they're on Solana at the moment. And so I guess it's, and I've heard other things as well, just deploying meme coins is like an easier process on Solana than it would be on some of these like Ethereum layer 2s. But yeah, in any case, that was one of the concerns that people in the Ethereum camp were saying that Solana couldn't do, is like incentivize its validators efficiently, but clearly they're getting a lot of usage, and now the usage is translating into fees. So that's a positive development, and I think competition is good. So
for sure. Yep, for sure. I will say though, to Ethereum's credit, that the fees are becoming more reasonable. I was transacting today, just like doing, moving some money around, and I only paid like $1 to $2 to do things on Ethereum. And, it is a Sunday, which is less activity overall on chain, but that is a drastic change from just a few months ago, where I felt like these fees would have been like $15 to do. And now it's only $1 or $2. So it is getting better on Ethereum. Yeah. It's getting much better. Yeah,
I feel like that has to be due to just like less usage. I
Yeah.
If there is, so I mean, now is a good time because things are like kind of quiet on
Yep.
the activity front. This is like a great time to transact and get everything, get your affairs in order, essentially.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure once activity comes back,
That's true.
You're gonna be blocked out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like when the chain's under stress on Solana, you might only pay like $1 to $2, but on Ethereum, you're going to pay like $30, $40 to just do simple things. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's brutal, but yeah, now's a good time to get back in.
I should probably do that. I have a lot of debt I need to collect over a lot of dead alts and stuff that I just need to like just gather my dead bodies and redeploy them somewhere else.
Yeah, I have a few wallets that are just like graveyards, essentially. Like,
yeah,
it's quite sad, and yeah, I think that's many people are facing these same pain points, and it's just the cost of doing business in like a brand new technology.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to chat about maybe a little more detail, going back to the meme coins, and some people are coming up with some theories on what this could all mean. What does the meme sector mean for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this post circulating around. So back in 2016, Joel Monegro, he came up with the fat protocols, thin apps thesis, which is basically, this is like an older article from 2016. This was like one of the first articles that I read actually before I started working professionally in crypto. It was recommended that I look at this, and basically this is like summing up Web 2. You have like Facebook, Google, YouTube, like various other applications that are very massive, and they control all your data and they capture most of the value. But then the protocols like TLS and whatnot, communicating over the internet, that's like not really a very advanced infrastructure layer. The infrastructure is built in the app layer, and then blockchains kind of flips that on its head. So now you have all these protocols that are thought through very carefully, and like security, decentralization, scalability, and then the application layers are not quite figured out yet, and they don't collect as much value. So this person, Kel XYZ, is theorizing that the alt L1 thesis today is now meme coins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like one take on it, is that like the cultural value that meme coins have is going to accrue a lot of dollar value that could 50 to 100x from here. And I'm curious to get your take, Lawrence, on what is do you believe that this is true? Like, do you believe in the meme coin thesis?
Yeah. So I do, and here's why. I think the L1 problem, for the most part, is getting solved, and I think that the current L1s that are the market leaders are going to continue to be the leaders, and this, you're not going to get rich overnight by investing in Solana at this point or Ethereum, but I think that any new L1s are going to struggle to compete with these incumbents. Like, you see this even with like Sui and Aptos. Like, nobody talks about those, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's a tougher investment. Whereas meme coins, they're way easier to understand because there's really no fundamental product except you're buying a culture, et cetera. With you're buying culture with meme coins, and it's very easy to grasp. And I mean, it really, to me, encapsulates the true essence of crypto culture, which is just gambling, right? I mean, it's kind of like our generation's lottery tickets. Like, no one goes to the store to buy lottery tickets anymore and scratches them off. They just go in crypto and they just buy meme coins. And I think this is, you're seeing this with the whole RoaringKitty thing too. It's just people are realizing that speculating is the only way out of this system that we're in. And it leads to a much bigger discussion about just like, the just culture of our money system and how people realize that, investing in the S&P, you'll get rich in 30 years, 40 years. But if you really want to change your life in a short amount of time, you need to gamble it. And I think meme coins is where a lot of that's going to end up. And that's, it's going to be tough to find the one that makes it. That's the problem, because there's no product. There's so many of them created every day. And how do you pick the right one? It's tough. But I think there's merit to this. Like, they command attention a lot better. Like, Dog with Hat and Bonk are just, they grab people's attention. And ultimately, that's why they're going to keep going up. So
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think where I stand on this. I feel like memes themselves don't have enough like staying power. Like, I feel like vibes tend to shift like very quickly. And I mean, some definitely have held out. So I think that's what we've seen with like the alt L1s popping up. Like, so many popped up in the last 5 years, and so many of them are dead now, are basically zombie chains. And it's like, how are they going to like get people to use them? It's like you might land a few enterprise deals here and there, but fundamentally, are you like able to survive long term? So that space got very diluted. And memes, for sure, there's a lot of dilution there. I'm just like not sure about the value accrual. Like, I feel like it's a very easy and fun way in some cases to just gamble on any sort of narrative super easily. I don't think it's like something that non-crypto native people are into at this point, but everyday people are like interested in memes, and like we saw that with GME. So I definitely see how these memes can achieve massive value very quickly. I just like don't know how they sustain long term. Like, I just don't know like, what's the business model. How are they growing? Are they licensing things? Is there like a team behind it? Is there like some sort of for-profit entity that is able to like sustain the hype? And like, because I mean, we see like fashion trends or like various clothing from designers. It's like those vibes that you see, like there is like a corporate kind of entity behind them that's continuing to drive people into those products. And a lot of products in our world today have like cult followings. I'm just kind of not sure how the digital tokens will like act.
I see your point. I see the point. I think if you're investing, quote unquote, investing in a meme token, your attention span and the time preference of that trade has to be shorter than other trades. Like, you can picture some of the L1s. Like, do you think Ethereum and Solana are going to exist in 10 years? Possibly, right? Do I think Dog with Hat is going to exist in 10 years? My likelihood of that is like very low, like 5%, 10%, unless they create a brand of clothing or shoes or something to keep it. It's probably going to go away in a couple of years. So I think that's a very good point. As like, if you're investing in these meme coins and you make a lot of money, you probably want to sell a good amount of it and just put it in some things that are like actually useful, But I think meme coins as an idea in 10 years will still exist. Like, people are still going to be buying meme tokens in 10 years. They're just going to be different memes, but they'll be buying them still. And that's like a critical part of the culture that will stay, in my opinion. Like, DeFi was the big thing a few years ago. Now, these days, I feel like it's not so much a big deal. It's more of like real world assets, and AI is taking over. But the next cycle, it might be something else. And the next cycle, it might be something else. But memes will always be a part of every cycle. There's always going to be another big meme token, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe I feel like I was disagreeing at first, but now if I think about it in terms of like meme coins as a whole, that makes more sense to me. I think they're kind of like a bet on just what is the internet culture of the day. Yeah. So you're kind of like it gives you a financial way to bet on the culture. So if you're like super plugged into like what people are talking about and like what is the the meta or the narrative of the people you're talking with, then I could see them being like these weird short-term investment vehicles where it's like you just are spontaneously throwing some financial support behind a narrative. And it's like, I believe in this narrative right now. And then you can like ride the high. So maybe they are just like these short-term kinds of like up and down curves. And then, we'll see. I don't know how that necessarily makes the world better, but that's kind of like gambling in general. It's like gambling doesn't make the world better, but it is something that people want to do. So you give them like casinos and you let them,
Yep, for sure. I mean, I think his point, going back to the tweet, I get it, because some L1s, like, they don't do as well in the following cycles. Like, look at Atom right now, right? Cosmos is not really doing a whole lot better. Cardano isn't really doing, they're not going to make new highs, right? But they're still around, right? And I think these meme coins, like Dog with Hat, next cycle may not make new highs, but it'll probably still be around holding some value, and there'll be a new one that'll make new highs. So like, I think that idea in memes is still, I think holds. Which coin will be it? Who knows? But I think there's merit to it.
Yeah. That's why I think Polymarket's like such a cool protocol, and like they're
for sure,
like pure betting on narratives or politics or like really anything. And you just kind of, I know they raised a lot actually recently.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea.
They raised $45 million from Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. Yeah, so I think these kinds of applications are going to continue growing. But
this is awesome. I love this just as much as like little meme tokens. Like betting on these like 0 to 1 outcomes is pretty cool, right? Like, yeah, like I would love to see a vote on, do I think the debate's going to happen next month between the presidents? I personally don't. So I think that would be cool. Did Keith Gill sell his X account?
Wow.
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough one. Oof, man. Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'm going to vote no on that. Wow. I think he definitely kept that, but that's an interesting bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we'll constantly be revisiting the meme topic anyways. It's just too big of a market to ignore at the moment. So,
oh yeah,
we have some Ethereum news that we're going to rip through real quick. Basically, there's going to be a fork in Ethereum late 2024 called Pectra, and that's going to enable various like account abstraction related technical upgrades. The validator max Ethereum balance per validator is going to be raised to 2048 Ethereum, so the number of validators in the network is going to shrink massively. There's a few other EIPs in there that are going to be interesting. There's this Osaka star name upgrade, which is basically going to allow vertical trees to increase block size by 10x, supposedly, and reduce sync time and reduced node cost. So that we will see about that. Dankrad Feist is what they're calling it.
This is their next upgrade?
Yeah, it's EIP 7607. So there's a hard fork here, and unclear exactly when this specific one will be rolling out. But yeah, that's kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to just add in vertical trees it's within the Ethereum roadmap to implement this new data structure. And then some centralization stuff. Lido is controlling 28.6% of staked Ethereum. So anything above 33.3% is a critical threshold that you do not want to exceed. And so that's a problem that Ethereum is facing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And client diversity is another challenge. So Ethereum is famous for its multi-client architecture. So a lot of other blockchains do not have this. And I think Solana maybe is FireDancer is another client that opened up. Not sure how many other clients there are on Ethereum or Solana, But Ethereum itself, they work very hard. They have a bunch of different developer teams that are building these clients. And the goal is to like have all the validators running these different clients. So there's an execution client, and there's the consensus client. So the execution layer, Geth, is the common one. It still has a huge majority here. And Nethermind is another client, which isn't quite reaching the level of diversity that's needed. Here's another website that I'll share the screen on this, which just kind of like overlays the client diversity problem that Ethereum's facing. But, you know, they're still, I think, light years ahead of other blockchains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. What site is this?
This is clientdiversity.org.
Cool. Okay.
I wonder if they have other chains in here as well.
Yeah, they're definitely doing better than Solana, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wish they had like, I'm sure there might be equivalents for other chains. I'll have to look for them. But yeah, most of their chains maybe have 1 or 2 clients max. And Ethereum, I think, has a good head start here. Any client bug over 33% could mean loss of finality. So if there's a critical bug found in Geth, all clients and validators running Geth at the execution layer, there's going to be like major problems to the chain.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see and hope that doesn't happen. And what else? So then on the security front, we've had some recent exploits. Sani Finance, rekt.news. This is a cool website. They talk about a $20 million exploit here of the Compound V2 fork. Am I reading that correctly?
No, that's it. $20 million flash loan attack.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Sani Finance. I see. So it's a fork of Compound V2. On Optimism, it's a known donation attack. And 6.5 million was saved. But yeah, that's like not cool. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Ready Finance had a $500,000 exploit on Arbitrum via a callback. So if you are using Ready Finance, which is unlikely because it has such a low TVL, it's probably a newer protocol out here, but they are having some problems. So I'm always scared to use new protocols. I think crypto has a very unfortunate safety problem. There aren't really like security standards yet in crypto, and getting audits is like tens of thousands of dollars. So there's a risk here, risk and reward. Reward potentially getting an airdrop, but the risk is you might lose all your funds. So tread carefully there, I guess. And then there's a pump.fun exploit. I don't know if you wanted to chat a little bit about this. This happened last week.
Yeah, I know briefly, like very layman about it, which is just like it was essentially like a place where meme tokens were. Pump.fun, you know, you could go on there and see like what like new memes were, and just kind of like it was like a soul meme coin, Solana meme coin type of place where you could just go and see what's going on with the meme coin ecosystem there. And it seems like it was a disgruntled employee that did it. He basically went in and rugged it, which is kind of ironic because pump.fun was meant to prevent rugs to you from giving you data about meme coins, and it itself got rugged. So yeah, it was a former employee, so it's kind of crappy, but this is why we can't have nice things.
Wow, this gets messy. Apparently this is one of the developers maybe just basically talking about how the bosses were like really bad, and
yeah,
I don't know what's going on here. It's kind of scary, you know, that like, I think that's just an unfortunate thing. Yeah. To have these protocols being built by like really degen anonymous developers is not great, because there's always going to be an admin key involved somewhere. And then you're going to have someone who knows the technicals behind how to like orchestrate the funds and like the signatures to that contract. And it's just a recipe for disaster. Although I will say that even if you try to do that, it's a very clear crime, and we're seeing this be litigated. It's now a lot more commonly. So I just don't think you're going to get away with that anymore these days, but
Yep.
certainly still possible. You'll have a little bit of fun for like a couple months, and then you're done.
Yeah, good luck. I say. I feel like I don't know. I just don't see what the I just don't see what the end game is there. I don't think there's true anonymity in this world. I think if someone has enough money and time and they want to find you, they will. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I suppose we can move into a little bit of macro. There's an interesting crypto sector analysis tweet I saw. But yeah, basically overall prices have been up 20% in 4 years. So inflation is very much still alive and well and with us. And we've been talking about this for a little while. And it's not great. It's like not great for our economy. It's going to be hurting us.
yeah, it's pretty crappy. I mean, that's what happens when you pump, how much of our money supply was pumped into the system over the last 4 years, because we had to give PPP loans out and stimulus and all that. So it sucks. I think that's another reason why people chase assets and meme coins, because it's your dollar is decreasing every day. So got to do something with it.
Yeah, and then I guess kind of adjacent to that, I mean, and it's like a macro headwind that we're certainly facing, and there's going to be indicators here and there that are pointing towards like healthier economy than expected, and like jobs are still doing okay and whatnot. But I think that's a definite headwind we have to deal with. But as far as on the crypto sector analysis, someone put a chart together trying to like aggregate all the different components and compare them against each other. And I thought it was very interesting. So the chart itself shows meme coins obviously as the strongest sector. So from this quarter, or at least since January, up over 500% generally, and it just takes a sampling of Bonk, with Pepe, Doge. So there's extreme growth there. The modular sector, which was like a big hypey thing, I would say like last summer and around that area, those tokens have been performing pretty poorly, down 20%. That's Celestia. Damn, is that the Solana protocol?
No, I think it's built on TIA actually. Dimension.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know what it does, but they had a big airdrop. So to be honest, that's not surprising that they're down so much, because typical airdrops, they sell off a lot and then they move up. So that's a tough one.
Starknet, Matic, Optimism, Arbitrum just getting murdered here.
Yeah. I actually picked up some TIA recently, so I hope it turns around. But yeah, TIA's down like 50-60% from the highs. So we'll see. But there was a lot of hype.
Mantle did well. I believe this is like some kind of. I need to get smarter on what Mantle is here, but yeah, it's governance technology. Mantle Network. Okay, they've been doing well. Layer ones, we can kind of see here. Yeah, certain tokens getting murdered here. That sector is overall did 27% though. And then I think critically, Solana DeFi really outshining Ethereum DeFi. Shouldn't really be too surprising given that the meme coin sector is so heavily entrenched in Solana at the moment. So Solana reaping all those benefits. Cosmos not doing so hot here, down 30%. And then AI thesis, despite a lot of things correcting pretty heavily, they're still up massively. So any sort of AI token or a decentralized physical infrastructure. So we have Arweave, and Arweave like massively outperforming Filecoin, which is interesting as well. Yep. So I thought that was a cool chart that this guy Ceteris Paribus, but with a 1 for that.
Interesting.
And let's see here. Anything else you wanted to chat through on the macro front, or should we move into?
Yeah. So I mean, if no one really follows this, the consumer price index was printed pretty surprisingly lower, a little unexpectedly. So inflation softened basically, and I think that's the reason why markets picked up a little last week, because that was like a good indicator that the rate tightening cycle is coming to an end. So, that's bullish overall structurally for risk assets, not just crypto, but all risk assets. So, it's a good sign that things could be turning around, and we'll see some softening of our market. But just a note, like I follow some macro news, and there's a lot of conflicting signals. Some are bullish, some are not so bullish. Like liquidity is trending lower, for example, which is not good for crypto. But then the inflation is going lower, which is good for crypto. So like there's a lot of people that I follow are they say we think this is the direction, but the conviction seems to be very low, in that they don't. It's basically like, this is what we think now, but in a week or two, like everything completely changed. There's a lot of different signs pointing in different directions, and it's hard to know. We're in a new market. It seems we're in a new world for macro. There's a lot of things happening that has never happened before. So
just got to hang on. I'm trying to find what the number is, at least what's CPI number. I mean, I know they've been also juking the numbers like crazy, right? They like took out coffee or something, like they removed coffee and various other data points like over the past.
They always remove stuff, and then they revise the numbers too, which is another thing that's annoying. Like they'll put the numbers out, and then a few months later they'll revise them. So you have to keep track of revisions too. So like the numbers they give you now are not the numbers that are always there. They change, it's honestly like, it's just not a good way of tracking data. Like it's just it seems like we're still in like the 80s here with how we track data with inflation, and it's always backward looking, right? Like you're always looking backwards to see how much changed. It's not really current. So you don't really know you're screwed until a year later, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's very political in nature as well. I kind of taking these numbers with a grain of salt, but according to them, it's up 0.3%, and maybe they were expecting 0.5. But if they're juking the numbers, like I have a hard time trusting it. But that would be cool to see if there's charts out there that compare like with the metrics from like 4 years ago to today. I would I'd have to do more research on that. But
I mean, it's just our system moves slowly, and that's one thing that we're like, we need crypto. Is crypto moves at the speed of the internet, right? And it's internet of money, and a lot of the world's still not running on that. So you see these numbers get printed, and you're like, well, I don't understand. Like I go to the supermarket and food is more expensive, like everything's more expensive, but these numbers are looking backwards, right? So it's like kind of confusing to see, oh, CPI is lower this month, but then you go to the supermarket and like prices are higher, right? But you don't see that until a couple months later when they print the new numbers, and then it's again, those are backward looking. So like it's like you're never really getting a current picture of things. You're always getting what happened already and about. So yeah, it's but the point is that this is how they drive policy decisions, and this is what makes it does affect your life, because that's how, if they lower interest rates or whatever, this is the data they use. So you do need to keep track of it, in some form.
And I know we know people personally experiencing downtrends and decreased volume across the board in certain areas. And I think people are starting to feel the hurt. I mean, they've been feeling the hurt for a very long time, and I'm definitely feeling it too. Just any sort of grocery shop or going to a restaurant, like it's like unbelievable. Like I can't even anymore.
Yeah, it sucks. Every time I go to the supermarket, I just get depressed. Like I'm like, how does everything cost so much? I just it seems way more expensive. Yeah, it
is. Insane.
I mean, it is. It doesn't just seem that way. It is. I mean, when you compare the bill, like I feel like I'm paying 50% more. It's not even 20%. It's way higher.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's exactly right. It's quite intense and severe. But
so we had a lot of legal stuff happen, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think some good news here on the legal political front. I would say. I mean, there's more on the political front, I would say, but there's a big battle going on right now in Congress, which I think is pretty exciting. So SAB 121, which stands for Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, was a ruling enforced by the SEC or passed by the SEC maybe several years ago. And basically it forced banks to, if they wanted to be custodians of crypto for their customers, they had to treat crypto holdings as liabilities, not assets, which meant that they had to hold an equivalent reserve in cash to whatever their crypto holdings were equivalent to, in a dollar equivalent. So it just is very burdensome for banks to then have to basically manage all their cash holdings with regards to like whatever crypto that they're holding. So that is a major problem. And we recently had the House pass a rule, or they invoked some rule to repeal that act from the SEC. So it passed the House recently, and then it moved on to the Senate. And the Senate, the Democrats have a lead there currently. So if the Democrats were united, they could have squashed the bill. But the Democrats actually 60 to 38 passed it. So there's, and Chuck Schumer actually voted for the repeal of it. So a lot of Democrats have been breaking the ranks and deciding to support this bill, it's been very bipartisan in nature. And really the only holdouts now are like the Elizabeth Warren faction, Gary Gensler, and Biden. And Biden promised to veto the bill if the repeal bill came to his desk. So he promised that a few weeks ago, but I think there's been a lot of ramping up of political talk for support of crypto generally. And we're seeing the Republicans firmly embracing crypto now as like a campaign strategy. All the Trump NFT holders, or like people that were in the top club there, they like flew out to Mar-a-Lago, and Trump is like held an event for them. And so that is exciting to see. And now we're basically just waiting to see what Biden's going to do. But I think Biden's in a lose-lose situation. If Biden decides to veto it, it shows that he's broken the ranks with his own party and is just firmly entrenched in what Warren wants for crypto right now. And if he doesn't veto it and signs it, then he's like not a man of his word, and he basically went back on what he said earlier that he would veto it. So he kind of loses some credibility there. So I just think it's like a very spicy time right now to like see how this resolves, and also that Democrats are paying a lot more attention to crypto in the face of this upcoming election season.
Yeah, I think this is a head scratcher, right? Because you don't see this a lot with our government, which is unfortunate, but it's like when they actually agree on something. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the Democrats realize that crypto is not a hill worth dying on for their election. It's not. Like, they need to be. We have an ETF. People are making money. A lot of voters own crypto now, and they can't just ignore it. And I see this as the Democrats just don't feel that it's a hill worth dying on for the election. They it's I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, I think it's a very reasonable thing to vote on and to allow.
Yeah, we're gonna get some clarity on that very soon. I think we'll know in the next week like what happens.
Yeah.
So we'll have a follow-up on this next episode.
I hope Biden doesn't veto it personally. I think that he would look very out of touch by doing that. And it just, it would shoot him in the foot, I think, even though it loses him some credibility with previous statements. But I think people are going to forget pretty quickly. People are going to forget that he went back on his word a lot quicker than if he vetoes this bill. People are going to remember that a lot longer.
I agree.
So
yeah, I think it's just a smart political move at this point. So we'll have to see how that plays out. As well, there is a FIT Act which is making its way through. There's gonna be a floor vote next week, and this is basically a very comprehensive bill that I believe was also proposed a couple of years ago, or maybe in the last year. I don't exactly know what this will cover, It's going to be voted on next week. I think it has relatively bipartisan support. I think the crypto community has been kind of lukewarm to it, where it's like going to be adding a lot of rails to various components here. And I saw a breakdown from Gabriel Shapiro on what he thinks of this. And if it does end up passing, he sort of sums it up as 20-something nerds can make whatever protocols they want in their mom's basement, but go to market, they will need to get their dApp interface on some kind of Coinbase DeFi hub, and it's licensed by the CFTC or the SEC, and then give huge vig to Coinbase, A16Z, Paradigm, or whoever else. So basically, whatever loans or they're going to be giving interest to those other parties. So it seems to describe it as a very complex act, but in the end, it's likely that people can still have fun coding and like making whatever protocols that they want. But if they want to like really get people using it, they have to go through these licensed guardrail entities. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how you feel about it, or if you feel this.
I haven't really read it, to be honest. I haven't read much, so I don't have. But it's all I do know is that Coinbase has been there a lot, and Brian has been there a lot, and my assumption is that there's a lot of rules in there that give Coinbase like a moat, and they're going to have control of the industry here. So that kind of sucks, because kind of goes against what it's all about, really. But that's also how our system works, unfortunately, which is you climb the ladder and then you pull it up and prevent other people from doing it. Right. So that's I don't know. I got to read more about it, honestly. I shouldn't really say. I mean, this is just a tweet, right? I don't know this person. I don't know what this person's saying either. So it's like I got to read it, but even though I probably won't even understand it, maybe I could just feed it to Claude or something. Maybe he can tell me. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's the move. I think, we'll have to do a deeper dive. And I don't think it's fully permeated the crypto feeds yet. I think it probably will have big implications for the industry, and it probably will like harm the true spirit of crypto in a way. But yeah, we'll have to have more takes on it and let things settle in. But it's definitely seems to be moving quickly.
I mean, the glass half full view here is like our government is caring more about it finally, and it just seemed like there is a place now for crypto in the government, and they are really paying attention. They're not just ignoring it anymore. So I'm at least happy that they're thinking about this and they're working through it. We do need more clarity, whether good or bad, because right now with no clarity, it's just all bad, right? We're assuming the worst. But with some clarity, at least like we have some route to do something. I mean, I'm so tired of every single app I go on. It's like, oh, you're from the US, you can't use the app. I mean, I have that so much now, and I just like it's something is better than nothing at all. So, we need something.
Yeah, and I mean, if it may help, there's like Stand with Crypto, this organization I know Coinbase has been like shilling whenever you like log into the app, and yeah, I mean, this has over almost $90 million of donations here.
Wow.
So it's a very significant lobby that ranks different politicians on their crypto stances. So
that's cool.
I would say definitely check it out. Actually, what did they say? Did they say there's a banner at the top here? It just maybe was talking about the FIT Act.
Which site is this, Dan?
This is standwithcrypto.org.
Okay.
And what do we have here?
I'll put that in the show notes as well, just for anyone who wants to follow it afterwards.
And like who's pro crypto, who's anti crypto. So I think it's a cool protocol to check out. Organization. And yeah, I mean there was the MEV exploiters. They got arrested last week.
Are these the guys from MIT?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So,
oh boy.
This is maybe one of the stories we can wrap on. Kind of a confusing situation here. right? It's very in the weeds of MEV and like modifying architecture of some clients to dupe some other sandwich attack bots. So these people built a way to like dupe it, and they fooled these other sandwich bots, and they tricked them, and they basically were able to siphon $25 million in funds.
Damn.
And unfortunately, these people that like built this bot to do that, their search history was kind of like querying money laundering law, like, and wire fraud, which countries like don't extradite to the United States. So that kind of establishes some kind of intent there. And, the charges are coming from the DOJ and basically accusing them of manipulating the protocol in an illegal way. So
very interesting.
It's kind of odd. And then there's some takes here from Alliance DAO. Quote, when an MEV bot uses $25 million of stablecoins to sandwich 8 different transactions of liquid coins, that is a completely honest business. However, if you bait this MEV bot, then that's a crime. So it's kind of like an ironic thing here. What's legal MEV and what's illegal MEV? That gets you 20 years in jail. Stealing from thieves is still theft.
Yeah. I mean, man, there's so much going on with this. There's a misunderstanding of, there's a very small amount of people who even know what MEV is. There's probably no one in our government who knows what that is. So this is going to be an interesting one for them to suss through. I mean, it's like any computer crime. Like, what is that? What's valid and not, right? What's an honest thing and versus not? Yeah, this is a tricky one. I ultimately feel if you're stealing money, then fuck off. You deserve to get you deserve to get something for that. Something should happen to you if you steal money. But what does that mean in this world of and that's where the lawmakers are going to have their work cut out for them. It's like, what does it mean to steal from an MEV bot? What is a valid MEV transaction versus an invalid MEV? It's that there's a lot of work there. I mean, we deal with this. This has been a part of computer and technology forever, right? I mean, it's like when a hacker, if someone goes into your database and sees passwords in plain text and takes them out and uses them to log in and steal money, I'm sure that was kind of similar when that first started happening in computers. Was that a crime, or who should go to prison for that? The person who put the password in there, or the person who stole it, right? So, I think that's where a lot of work has to happen here still. Is what the crime is versus not.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to get some good definitions, hopefully, out of this, and knowing what is, they have to find a reasonable translation to the Web 2 world. Because, back then when, we were first doing, passwords and, online applications, it's like, yeah, well, I was just, using the technology at my disposal to, get into your database. It's like, why is that illegal? But, code is law, I think, is starting to fade away. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna be seeing less and less of that, and hopefully that encourages more safety in our space. So I'm kind of lukewarm on this right now. It's a very technical case, I'm sure, and we're gonna have more analysis on this to come. So,
yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right.
That does it.
Went through quite a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, quite beefy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot happening. So it's an interesting time to be in the markets. Very excited about these legal things happening. Actually, I think that it's a big deal for us it's legitimizing the industry in the US at least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're still listening, thank you so much for sticking with us this long, and have a good time out there.
Hey, everyone, take care.